2021 has been one hell of a ride so far, Banele. So many ups and downs. It feels like we're on a roller coaster of a season. But let's talk about Swallows and Orlando Pirates last weekend. The match officials, stole all the headlines for the wrong reasons. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I think the match officials have been terrible. If we're being honest, and
that's an understatement.
Yeah, and we're not also addressing the problem. We keep on saying, okay, they're favoring Chiefs. They want Chiefs. It's benefit. They're favoring Swallows. They're favoring
the so-called bigger clubs.
Exactly. They're favoring Sundowns. They're favoring Pirates. We're always saying they're favoring. The problem is that they're just not good enough. Our match officials, Abazi Luto, they don't know anything. I'm sorry to say it like that, but we've got the worst match officials in Africa probably. If you're talking about CAF, you'd only see Victor Gomes, no one else, because they're simply not good enough. The decisions they're taking. Look at Jelly Chavani, who was referee of the season last season. Shocking. And look at Sean Oliver, who was assistant referee of the season. He's been terrible. So that's the thing with SAFA referees. They just not up to standard. I think SAFA needs to retrain the referee. They need to look at the appointment of referees. Otherwise, it's going to sabotage the whole league. For me, Abazi Lutunje, it's not about Tuti. They're favoring a certain team or anything. They're just simply not good enough.
So we've highlighted the problem, but how do we fix it? Do you think it's just a matter of training them and educating them? For me, I think they're still going through that training the programs and facilities are there, but I think it's just perhaps their mindsets. I don't know what it is actually. Maybe they are being bought. I'm not really ruling that out. But it's just crazy what's going on and quite unexplainable.
I don't think they're being bought. If you look at the 1998 World Cup, PSL had I think 4 referees in the World Cup. More than anyone in the world at that time. And there were times we've had guys like Daniel Bennett, Jerome Diamond. We've had top referees in the PSL. Even Esmobo himself, he was a top refereeing even in SAFA, CAF. We've had some top referees. Only Victor Gomes is representing. Without him, there's no one else to pick, because
he's really carrying the name on his own.
He's carrying the name, and it shouldn't even be like that. You can't have one referee carrying the name for so many seasons. It's really bad. They need to look at what's happening, do whatever that's needed, updates and trainings and all of that. Learn from other leagues, from Europe or whatever. But they need a proper development. And as much as long as we've got a PSL in the NFT, yes, we will have professional referees, but it doesn't mean
they are professional.
They are professional, because games have to go. So you can't just give us for the sake of giving us Uti Imdlalo Kubek. You have to give us for the sake of Uti. We have top officials.
And that's what it seems like. Like just throwing anybody who's just giving them their professional status and then
it's a joke. If you remember before the bio bubbles, the game was supposed to kick earlier than they did, but they didn't because of the match officials. They weren't ready. Even now
refs are late, especially in the Glad Africa now as well. It's happening quite often. Refs are late.
They're late. They're not even testing for COVID. That's all we've been hearing, all unprofessionalism with the referees and all of that. So we really need to revisit the refereeing structure as a whole. We can't say, let's bring on VAR. What is VAR going to do in a place, in an environment?
Might make things worse, actually.
There is no structure. It's going to make things worse. So it's really bad.
It's really hectic. But let's move on to some more. Well, it's still negative football matters, but Kama Billiat's injury for 2 months. It's going to be a huge dampener on Kaizer Chiefs and their season.
Yeah, it's a big blow. I know a lot of Chiefs fans were saying, he's not doing anything, he's not scoring goals, but having Billiat on the field for Kaizer Chiefs, he was doing so much. And I remember in the game where he got injured against, they played? They lost 2-0.
This past weekend,
they lost 2-0. So against Maritzburg United, it was the
Middendorp derby. How could we forget?
It just flashed. But when I looked at the lineup, I was like, okay, Billiat is the only one who's going to provide the creativity. Cardoso was playing with left back. You had Ungezana playing at the right back, and you had Macheke and Unjabulo Blom playing a center. All 4 players that I've mentioned, they're not creative. They're not creating, and we also played with Ukambole and Castro. I mean, you're only relying on Billiat to do all the work. Obviously, Upark, I mean, he's finished. So he was overworking in that game, and I knew that when it gets to like the finished business of the game, he would be super tired. So yeah, these players have been overworking, and it's understandable why they're getting so many injuries.
And Chiefs have really needed that, because even though Billiat hasn't been in the best of form, just the one goal this season, I think it's 2 assists for him as well. He can still, give that moments of brilliance at any given time. He doesn't really need to have the best of games to, just have that spark of creativity. So he's going to miss so many games. Let's touch on a few of those games. There's 3 CAF Champions League games, one of them being away to Wydad Casablanca.
And you need him in a game like that. I mean,
and especially the derby as well. Orlando Pirates ended this month. It's going to be cracking.
Yeah, and the reason they're in the group stages, it's because of Ukama Billiat. Let's be honest. And this season, most of their goals is assisted. I think 90% of their goals. I mean, even in the game against Golden Arrows, where Castro scored 2 goals, it was an assist from Ukama Billiat. When Usasman scored a brace, it was 2 assists from Ukama Billiat as well. In against Angola, the team from Angola in Angola, it was an assist from Ukama Billiat. So it tells you how important he has been this season for Kaizer Chiefs. So going into a game against the Orlando Pirates without him, against Wydad Casablanca without him, even a game against AmaZulu without Ukama Billiat, I think for me it's a big blow, especially in a season like this.
I think now is probably the time for Dumsani Zuma to step up and stamp his place in the starting lineup, especially because he's been known as that super sub under Kevin Hans, under previous coaches as well. He's been given that super sub role.
Which is nonsense.
I think now is the time for him to really stamp his authority and perhaps put himself in Chiefs' best lineup.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You have a player like Dumsani Zuma. Yes, last season he was working for Top. Things were normal. Coming in second half to change the game, it was working. Chiefs were on top of the log. But now it doesn't make sense to continue with that same strategy. Top. I mean, in the game against Maritzburg United, you can't have Zuma on the bench and you have guys like Abu Parker starting. There was no creativity in the team. So you really do need him now to start the games.
You think Kaizer Chiefs, obviously they will miss him, but you think they can still, go on a run without him? It's not looking very positive.
Not looking positive. I mean, if you look at Kaizer Chiefs' 4 games, it's AmaZulu, Cape Town City, Stellenbosch, and Chakuma. Generally, those games, you'd say this is a good run for the Chiefs. Before that, it was Maritzburg United. So as a coach, when you look at the calendar, you look at those 5 games and say, okay, I've got Maritzburg, AmaZulu, Chakuma, Stellenbosch, then Cape Town City. This is a good run, That's the period you target as a coach. But unfortunately for Kaizer Chiefs, the chips are down this season. Everything is just bad. You can't target anything. You can't even see Kaizer Chiefs beating Chakuma as things stand. So at the moment, I really don't know what Chiefs need.
Up next is for them is Cape Town City, obviously.
It's a tough one.
Very, very tough one. You think they have any chance of winning over there?
It's a slight chance. I mean, I gave them 0 chance against Bloemfontein Celtic, and they played well on the day. They were unlucky to concede late. So yeah, I gave them a lot of chance against Maritzburg United, and they were nowhere to be seen. So with Kaizer Chiefs this season, for me, I really don't know what to expect. I think
you've given up.
I've really given up. I think the players do not want to play. It's not even about the band now. They've still got some good enough players. They shouldn't be in the relegation zone. I mean, you're talking about guys like Parkers, Kama Billiat, Nukovic. As much as he hasn't played, I'll count him. Or Riff Rosler,
Cardoso as well.
Cardoso, Castro, those are still good players. Yes, they're not good enough to challenge for the league this season.
But they're not this bad.
They're not. They shouldn't be like 1 point off the relegation zone, if you know what I mean. So that's my argument. They should be at least maybe 5, 8 Nyana. They should be there or thereabout, not in the relegation zone.
Well, that's what we think. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. Until next week, Banele.
Sharp.
Cheers. For more soccer betting tips and previews, get the latest copy of Soccer Betting News for only 10 Rand at your nearest Hollywood Bets branch or news agent.